Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Thursday morning. It is January 11th, and today we're gonna get real. So I'll do you guys. Hopefully, you saw the garage update from yesterday. Couldn't be better. God, I mean, I love that place. It's just such a great place to be now. We're gonna have some fun in there. We're so close to have it being really 100% done. So I've ordered a bunch of things to come into it. Just things like a huge flag, nice TV, nice sound system, desk, a chair. So that I can spend some more time in the garage, and so I can do a little bit more work in there and bring you into that. The Viper will be back down here in a few days, or certainly by next Saturday. So. Yeah, it's just going great. I mean, I love that part of the channel. So for today, though, for this video, it's one subject, and several of you have asked me the similar type of question, and it really boils down to, how do I ask for a raise? And wow, we're going to have to get real on this one. So this is probably the one that might offend you or ask you questions that you aren't comfortable with. So I wanted to do you the courtesy of telling you how the CEO thinks, how the ownership thinks, how the senior leadership thinks, because I believe it's guys like me or women like me that are sitting on the other side of the table from that request. So I want to give you the decoder ring. I want you to think about maybe how some of us think on when we hear those kind of requests. So get ready. I mean, it's a hard video. It might be a little longer than the last few, but I want to give it to you. I want to give you the answers to the tests, and it's going to require a lot of work on your part to get ready for the test. So let me just jump into it. And so really, I would translate the question that you guys are asking, the how do I ask for a raise, into two other questions. Really, are you paid what you are worth? And the other one that you really have to ask is, are you worth what you're paid? Or are you worth what you're asking for? Because you may or may not be worth it. And you really need to look at it from the perspective of the owner, the executive, the business. It's just a hard question. Most of us don't want to ask that. Most of us don't want to think that deeply about our contribution to work. And I'm worried that some of you are wandering into your boss's office and saying, hey, I'd like to talk to you about a raise. And that is the absolute limit of your preparation. And you will lose that battle every time, because an unthought out request is just a point of weakness to the person you're asking it for. So I just want to talk you through several topic areas and suggest really for your consideration some actions, because if you're really going to do this, there's some prep work I would recommend you do. So the concept here is you really are building a business case. You're building a business story. You're telling a story about kind of where you are now and why, in a business sense, should the company pay you more money. And so just really think about, you're writing a story, you're writing a business story, you're writing a business case for why you are worth more than you are being paid today. So one of the first steps towards that is you need to remove your story. I don't care how hard you worked. I don't care how busy you were. I don't care if you stepped into someone else's role. I don't care if you've worked really hard to start producing a product. None of that matters. And I just know that's tough. That's a tough thing to hear. And the other thing is, you must remove your ego. You must remove your emotion. You must remove your history. And that's tough. That is a tough thing to do. You've got to get a little bit cold, a little bit icy. You've got to think business. You need to pre-think for several of, what are the top 5 reasons that whoever they is, by the way, I don't know your situation, but why would they say no? Where are they going to go? Is no the standard answer in your culture? And if so, what are the top reasons? Are you asking out of cycle? Do you have an annual review process and you are 4 months into it and you want to raise out of cycle? So there's your first no, right? Hey, I'm not saying no, I'm saying we're going to wait till your annual review. So is that a situation? Or is the company not doing as well as they thought they would be, so there's not enough money to do it? So just start thinking through how and why would they say no to you. And then, are you prepared for no? What happens if they say no? Are you ready to move on? Are you ready? Do you have an action plan? If this fails, what are you going to do? I don't care what your answer is, but you better have an answer. And maybe you got to move on. Maybe you need to find a new company. Maybe you're in the wrong culture. Maybe you'll have to move. I just don't know. But you have to be prepared for no, because there's only several answers you're going to get. Yes, maybe later, no, or can you propose a set of actions? Like if you want a major raise, can you do it over 3 or 4 raises over the next 2 years? Are you willing to talk about a phased implementation with dates and milestones that go along with that? Or you just want a lot of money. And I would tell you, if you walked into my office and just wanted a lot of money, it's just an automatic no. We just have to talk through how do we get to yes, and I expect you to come in with some of those thoughts. So your case must be based upon results. Results that the boss can see or the owner can see or that the business can see, not activity, not partially completed actions, but what impact did you bring? What results have you delivered in the last week or month, quarter, or year, right? Just really think about results. And we talked a couple videos ago about, in my culture, we talk results, not activity. Working 60 hours a week doesn't mean anything if you didn't produce a result. Working 30 hours a week, if you produced massive results, doesn't matter. It's the results. So try to make sure you're thinking along the lines of what have you actually produced, and then how did you get to your number? Why do you feel you're undercompensated today, and that you want this new number? How did you get to that number? And this is where most people fail. And so the question is, what are you worth? And how do you know that number? How do you know that? Have you done research? What are you worth to the company? What are you worth to outside the company? What are you worth to somebody else? And how do you know that? And so I would just suggest you've got to do your research. You've got to find your job and the job description or the labor categories or whatever your vernacular or words are. You've got to find jobs out on the job boards like Monster.com or Indeed or somewhere else that matches what you do or matches fairly closely. And I would find 2 or 3 and put yourself through the test of, do you really match that labor category? Do you really match that job description? Or could I rip you apart? I'll give you an example. I had an IT specialist work for me several years ago, and he wanted I want to say a $20,000, $30,000 raise, essentially a 50% raise. And I told him, I said, I don't, how did you come up with that number? And he didn't really know, so I sent him back on a research project, and he brought me like 3 labor categories, and he said, well, these match what I do. But when I sat down with him, I said, well, let's just read it together. You don't actually do any of these things. These are a series of 1, 2, even 3 promotions from what you're doing today. Frankly, you don't even qualify to be hired into any of these. He had just randomly picked 3 that showed higher salaries than his, but hadn't done the real work. And so I would just advise you, do the real work. I mean, be scrupulous, be detailed, to the word, review what you're asking for, and be careful. Because if it says certain number of years of experience, or it says certain certifications, or if it says certain education levels, and you don't have them, it's going to damage your case, not support it. And what you may find is you are not qualified for the next level yet. And so now you have an action plan. That might just completely piss you off, but you now have a list of gaps that you need to start going to fill. And if you go down that road, they will respect you. You'll respect yourself, and the company will respect you more. So the other concept I want to talk to you about is, now stick with me here because it sounds stupid for a minute. Are you in the business of your business? Are you a web developer in an accounting firm? Then you're not in the business of the business, okay? And so if you're in the Army and you're not a combat soldier, you're a support specialist. And so that's just, if you're a rifleman, you're in the business of the Army. If you're a pilot in the Air Force, you are in the business of the Air Force. So now those might not match to you perfectly, but in my industry, in my company, the business of my business are billable, on-site, embedded people with my clients. Everyone else is a support person, by the way, including me. So if you're watching this as a business owner, there's a good chance you're a support specialist and you are not in the business of your business. We have 12 people in my company who are support specialists, and they have all sorts of names: human capital manager, recruiter, accountant, controller, business development vice president, chief technology officer, and CEO. Those are all great titles, but they are not in the business of the business. I have over 300 people who are in the business of the business. Part of what you might need to do is leave your current position and move it to where, if you're a web developer, then go work for a web development company or a social media special company. If you're an accountant and you want to make good money, you might need to go one of the, what do they call them, the Big Four, or an accounting firm. So just think through that. I mean, shoot, don't do anything on what I'm telling you to do. I just want you to ponder, if you're in the support end of the company and you're not in the business or the operational end of the company, it gets harder to pay you huge money. And so I'll give you an example here in my company. I had a young guy come to me. We just promoted him from intern to like a business development specialist. He was pretty much one or 2 years out of school. We then we helped him get through his MBA. He got through his MBA in one of these 18-month courses, and then he came back and said he wanted basically a 30%, 40% raise to almost $100,000 with essentially a year or two of experience. And when I said, how did you come up with that number? He goes, well, my MBA is from Georgetown, and everyone sitting in there said they were making $100,000, so I feel I'm worth that too. And there was no comparison to you sitting next to 10 and 12 and 15-year veterans of their company. So we converted him through a very counseled process. We converted him to a billable employee. We moved him from the support side of the company to the operations side of the company. And he quit 2 months later because he couldn't handle the pressure of going on site into a client site every day and getting beat on and chewed on by clients who had operational needs every day. He then discovered why the ops side people make more money than the support side. It's a much harder job in most companies. It is absolutely harder in my world. So the next piece I'd like to talk to you about is you've got to know your audience. Who are you talking to? Are they best on Mondays and just terrible on Thursdays or Fridays? Then don't ask for the meeting in their bad times. If they're morning people, then come in early and have a morning meeting. If they're late people and they're best at 6 o'clock at night, then stay late and be there in their best times. So just be careful about where they are in their week, where they are in their day. And then be careful where they are in their life cycle. Maybe they just made a pitch. Maybe they just had this exact conversation with their boss, and got told to pound sand, that would be a very bad time for you to go in and have this conversation. So, as always with my stuff, there's a series of steps that you really got to take. Are you worth what you're being paid now? Are you worth what you're thinking about for the new number? Are you already paid what you're worth? What are you worth to the company? What are you worth outside the company? How do you know those numbers? Do your research. Be hard on your research. Be hard on yourself. Be harder on yourself than they're going to be on you. Build the business case. Remove all your personal story. Put your achievements in. Be careful about, are you in the ops side or the support side of this business? And then make sure you track to your audience and you know who you're talking to and their good times and bad times. Be sensitive to who you're talking to. So if you're asking for more money, you're going to have to also talk about, what are you willing to do in addition to what you're doing now to achieve that? So I'll tell you another story from my company. This person still works for me. My human capital manager came to me it'll be almost 3 years ago, and said, I really would like to make, emotionally, I'd like to make $110,000. Well, human capital people in my industry don't make that kind of money. That job function, no matter how well you're playing it, fulfilling it, is not worth $110,000. So we just sat down and said, what else can we do? What else can I give you and increase your span of influence and control in this company to make you, with these 2 jobs, worth $110,000? We actually made that decision. We sat down together and we said we were going to add the security function, what we call our FSO, or our facility security officer. That's a defined formal role, and I needed someone to do it. So I actually said, are you willing to learn how to do it over the next year and then take the role over? And I'll get you partway to your goal if you agree to take it on. And then when you fully achieve it, a year from now, whatever, we'll go the rest of the way. And after about 10 or 11 months, she came in and said, I don't want it. It's just not worth it to me. And so you just be very careful about, are you willing to make life changes to get you to the next level? And if you're not, just understand you're comfortable with your lifestyle, you're comfortable with your work hours, you're comfortable with your role. You probably need to be comfortable with your pay. So that's another element. Just be aware of it. Again, I can't tell you what to do or how that influences this conversation inside of your head. Just be sensitive to, you're probably going to be asked to do more to get paid more. You're going to have to achieve more. You're going to have to produce more, because then your value will go up. And I'm not telling you for this promotion. I'm talking about for your career, for your life. If you think you want more money, you got to achieve more. And sometimes that means more time. And in today's world, I hear more and more, my personal life's important to me. I've got family concerns. I've got family issues. I've got a sick mom. I've got a dying father. I've got little kids. Yeah, whatever. The question is, none of that factors into this. And so you have to strip all that out and really make a decision. My life time-wise is where I need it to be. I can't take on another role. I can't take on more. Then you just have to be careful. I know if you were to work for me, I'll just personalize it. If you do the same thing you did for me last year, you're going to get paid what you got paid last year with a slight cost of living adjustment. A COLA is what they call it in my world. So you might get 2% more than you got last year because you're doing the same job. Just doing the same thing over and over and over again does not make you more valuable. Working in a company for 3 years, if you do the same thing for 3 years, does not make you worth more money. We talk about, are you exchanging oxygen into carbon dioxide? Are you an oxygen scrubber? We don't get paid for that. Just showing up, we don't get paid for that. We get paid for production. We get paid for results. Boy, that's a hard thing to say. Boy, has that got to be a harder thing to hear. You've got to improve your production year over year. If you want to get paid more, year over year. That is a hard sentence to hear. It's even harder to achieve. You have to be going and saying, what else can I do? What else can I do? I want to take on more. I want to do more. You have to get known for that. You have to build that reputation for that. That takes weeks, months, years to become truly known for that. And then you become priceless. You know, maybe you get promoted a few times. Maybe you take on a huge part of this operation, and you become truly valuable. But that can take 5, 6, 7, 8 years. My top two, my number 2 and 3 guys are in their 8th year with me, and they are really playing strategic roles for me now, and they're valued slightly differently, but they are truly valuable to me and to this entity, to this thing we call DHA. I know it's a lot. We're at 21 minutes. You know, I can feel half of you guys clicking off probably. The other half are probably really upset. But I'm trying to be real, right? I promised you, I made a commitment to you as the subscriber family to DHR Street Speed that we would be honest. I would tell you, not what you want to hear, but that I will be honest with you. So you've seen me flub up videos and editing and all that. You've seen me put the lift in the wrong place. And you've seen me through this side of the channel be very honest about, you know, from the connection and passion and alignment and control your day and push your event horizons out and all that. So this is tiny. This is way down the detail list, but I wanted to pay you the respect, not only to the 4 or 5 people asking me that, but I feel like you as the family need to hear that. Because now you know, I think in general, what the other side of the table is thinking. I hope this lands. I hope this helps. I feel like it's a broken record, but ask me questions, push back. You know, where am I not hitting, right? Where does this part of which part of this answer just doesn't land for you? Or how can we take this answer to the next level or apply this to the next question or the next situation? Your feedback is incredibly important to me. And, I mean, most of my videos now are trying to answer questions or talk to you about things that you are all bringing up. So hopefully you see that you are directing the channel as much as I am. For you new subscribers, if you're still listening at 22.5 minutes, God bless you. Let me know what you think. If it's your first time, subscribe to the channel, please. Comment, ask questions, get involved. That's the thrilling part of the channel on this business side. So that's it, you guys. Have a great Thursday. I'll do some more moving into the garage tonight, so I'll probably give you another garage update. If the weather stays nice, I'd like to break the Camaro and take that Z01 1LE back out on the road and do some in-car vids. I just don't know if the weather's going to let me do that, or if the light. It doesn't do much good to film a black car with 5% tint at night. It just there's really not much to see for you. We'll see what we can do. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of the channel, and we will talk to you later. Bye.